You know what, Sam?
What?
We're getting close to maybe we need to panic.
Maybe. For the record, Sam, every team goes through skids. That's just the reality. Even the Florida Panthers go through one. Um, 82 game season. But with saying that, I do agree to some extent. But I'm not in freak out mode with this team.
No. I said, well, like I said, I think we're getting close, right? I think
Yeah,
if this homestand doesn't go well,
time to
then
panic.
then we might need to panic a little bit. Not New York Ranger level panic.
They
Uh,
lost today,
yeah, I know. I saw
seven
that
to
was coming.
five.
Hey, and didn't they just pay that goalie?
Oh, well, trust me, we're gonna talk about that, Sam. Don't worry. But first things first, we have a link for donations. So if you feel like you want to donate to us, there's a link for that in both our YouTube and our traditional podcast descriptions. So another thing too is remember if you're watching us on YouTube, hit that like and subscribe button and leave a comment.
And make sure you
Definitely
cover up Sam's face.
no. That's a bad idea from Sam, the huge Caniac Driscoll. That's right under his face, right there. If you're watching us, but remember to do that. It really helps, and also by subscribing, hit that notification button so you'll never miss another video. And if you're listening to us from like Apple or Spotify, um, just give us a rating or review. That would help us a lot. So yeah. So Sam, quite a few things. Well, one team recently, since our last episode, made some huge things a couple of days ago, and that is the Metropolitan Division foe, the New York Rangers. Made not just one but two big things. One, they traded Jacob Trouba to Anaheim, and obviously, I do think Anaheim got the better player because Rangers didn't hardly get anything back. Sam, when I saw this trade, I was like, "Wow, Anaheim is retaining full contract of Trouba, which is $8 million." I honestly think they're doing a huge favor for the Rangers. I'm surprised they didn't get honestly a little bit more than just Truba, to be
I
honest.
I guess the Ducks are thinking, let's get some player who can come in and protect their younger guys.
Yeah,
Would
well,
be my
I
guess.
mean, if you look at this from a Hurricanes perspective, I'm happy that he's
Yep.
out west. I
Yeah.
really am.
Yeah. And then very classless post from the Ducks showing Truba's
What did they say? I didn't see
oh
that.
they showed a bunch of his highlights where he was hitting other players' heads.
Okay,
Telling
that's
telling
that's
telling
classy.
other telling other players to keep your head on a swivel because of their blue line. And like all of Truba's hits that they showed were like when he was hitting other they did not look like very clean hits, but yeah.
Did they show the Seth Jarvis hit from a few
um,
years ago?
I'm not
No.
sure. I stopped watching when I realized what it was.
Well, if all the hits were head hits, honestly, I don't think they should do that just because they're even though hockey is a rough game, I don't think you should promote headshots,
No.
no matter which player it is. But
Yep.
that's just me.
Oh yeah, no, it's a
There are some fans, honestly, that probably love the head hitting. I don't.
look, I'll just tell you right now, just wait for the Ducks to play the Rangers and Truba is going to end Adam
Oh, that's
Fox's
gonna be
career,
fun.
and then we'll just see how the Rangers feel about Truba.
You would love that, wouldn't you, Sam? If Truba knocked out Adam Fox.
I don't like seeing any player get hurt. I really don't, but I would enjoy the absolute meltdown from Rangers fans.
Oh yeah, the reaction would be priceless. But I mean, I agree. I don't think any player should get injured. Obviously, even if it's maybe Adam Fox, because us Canes fans do not like Adam Fox. We
Ooh,
just don't.
no.
Um, but another thing too, Sam, that I do want to talk about with this trade is I mean, I was talking to my dad about this while I was in the airport. Because right now I'm in actually Florida, so you're not really seeing me wearing a Hurricanes jersey. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'm in Florida right now. But I mean, this helps the Rangers long term
Yeah.
because they have lots of expiring contracts at the end of the season. And
Yep.
I'm just like, that could do it right there, possibly, in them retaining all these key players and like Miller, Lindgren.
Yep.
Uh, I think Will Cooley has been a revelation for the Rangers. So it's just interesting.
Well, no one's really been a revelation for the Rangers this season.
Well, Will Cooley a little bit is, but overall, even with him doing good, Sam, Rangers aren't doing good. They
Because
just
if
aren't.
I, when I looked at the standings, because I was curious today, so I went and looked, and I'm just going to pull it up again because I was like, I wonder where everybody is in, wild card race. The Rangers are in the second wild card spot with 29 points. The Islanders, the Flyers, and the Penguins are both 1 point behind the Rangers. So the Rangers are just in a playoff spot. And I would rather
Yeah,
see any of those other teams in other than the Rangers.
I would see. I would see any other team other than the even Pittsburgh.
Oh, I want to see Pittsburgh in the playoffs, and that's more for Sidney Crosby's sake. I just respect him too much as a player to see him continue to go through the crap that is the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the Penguins are a team. I don't hate them, so they're not like the Washingtons or the Boston's or the Rangers, but
Yeah.
they're not a team that I like.
Well, the last time we played the Penguins in the playoffs was in 2009, so we really haven't had a rivalry moment with them for a really long time. But
That'd
we've
be
had
interesting though to see them to verse them in the playoffs this year.
well, I don't think they would fare as well as they did in 2009.
No, I don't think so either. But Sam, another thing did happen with the
Which, by the
Rangers.
way, in 2009, that was when Jordan Stahl won his Stanley Cup.
Yes, good for Jordan Stahl. I think I heard his name pop up in the most recent 32 Thoughts episode.
I must have
Um,
missed that episode recently.
yeah, it was Friday. But another thing happened with the Rangers, Sam, and they extended Igor Shesterkin to $11.5 million contract for the next 8 years. And Sam, that's a big contract. Now,
Yep.
I do think part of him getting a big contract like this, because it is big, even though I thought it was going to be bigger, is apparent because I saw on X that he's making around the same money as Jake Ottinger from Dallas. And the reason why is because of all the taxes that are coming out because he's
It's
in
New
New
York.
York.
Yeah, he lives in New York. Well, he didn't have to stay in New York, and I wouldn't have paid him that because I don't think he's proven himself. I was looking at some Rangers posts, and they were talking about how his numbers have regressed. They have not gotten better. Each season, he's gotten a little bit worse. I don't believe that Shesterkin was the reason that the Rangers beat us in the playoffs last year. I think we were beating Shesterkin on a pretty consistent basis. I don't think there was really a game where Shesterkin stole a game from us. Really, we lost because our goalie wasn't very good. So in
Yeah,
that
I
regard,
agree.
Shesterkin was better than Anderson. But if we had a competent goalie in that, I think we win that series. But
At least go to game 7.
yeah, well, yeah, at the very I agree, and it's just a lot of money tied up in a goalie. And the last time that happened, it was Bobrovsky. It didn't work. But then they're hoping it's going to end up like Carey Price, who also got a high cap hit, and that worked out really well. So, I
Yeah,
mean,
well, I mean,
just a matter of
again,
what
I
the point
remember
is.
you saying before when the whole Bobrovsky contract is they won the Stanley Cup. So you
Yeah,
can somewhat justify that contract
no, yeah,
because
and
they
that's
won
truth.
a cup.
And maybe Montreal fans feel that Carey Price contract wasn't worth it now, but because they never won a cup. But I mean, Carey Price, his numbers were excellent. He was a great goalie. He was never the reason they
He
never won
was.
a Stanley Cup. And everyone knows that Carey Price is a good goalie. And it wouldn't shock me if eventually he ends up in the Hall of Fame. For at very least, his numbers were stellar. and he was from Montreal, so it's just one of those things where he probably ends up there. But I don't know. I just don't think Shesterkin has done nearly as much as Bobrovsky has, or even Carey Price has, to have earned this contract.
Well, I think regardless if he has played well, I think the reputation supersedes that because his reputation now in this league is kind of almost that full-on starter type of goalie.
Yeah, he is. I don't know. I still put goalies ahead of him. I think Sorokin is better than Shesterkin. I think Bobrovsky. I think Vasilevsky is better than Shesterkin. I think Ottinger is better than Shesterkin. I don't know.
I
I
don't
think
know
he's.
about Ottinger, but I agree with Vasilevsky and Sorokin.
I also hate the Rangers, so I'm not the one to ask about
Yeah,
whether or not I think these players are good or not. But yeah, I don't like New York. I think
but
they're a cruddy team. They're a dirty team, but at least they got just a little bit less dirty with Trouba heading out.
yeah. Well, I mean, listen, I don't like the Rangers either, but I do think Shesterkin is one of the very few starting goalies in the NHL.
He can work. He can
Because
take a workdown on. He can start
he,
7, 8 games in a row, and
like, I
and
love
be
Kachekov,
fine.
but he's way bounds better than Kachekov. He just is.
Yeah. Well. Yeah.
He just is.
I'm starting to develop opinions about our goaltending. So
So I've developed an opinion, especially after the game, but we'll get to that because that's pretty much it for NHL stuff. Because both of um, those big things that happened with the Rangers really became headlines, and the Rangers, I think they have like $17 million in cap space now, in starting next year. They might be able to keep all those players. They might not. Time will tell, though. But let's get to some Hurricane stuff, Sam. And one news did come out, and the fact that if you remember the player Brendan Lemieux,
yep.
he was put on unconditional waivers for the purpose of buying him out. I wasn't really shocked about that news just because we weren't playing him,
Yeah.
and I was just like, yeah, that's probably dead money that you can probably move out and get some cap space. So
And
I'm
he
fine
agreed
with
to
that.
it.
Yeah, and he did agree with that. I think he's going to the Swiss league. I could be wrong.
That sounds to be the direction he's going.
Yeah. So I mean, I liked the few games that Lemieux played. I mean, he played several games last season. I thought he got better as he was playing these games, and wish him the best of luck.
Yep.
But I understand why the Hurricanes wanted to move on from that contract. And another thing too, Sam. So last episode, and I guess I can give you the floor on more you the floor on this. I announced on the episode that Jarvis, Slavin, and forgetting the Aho
Yep.
all made the Four Nations tournament. You have any thoughts on that?
It's all the only one that surprised is I think
Jarvis.
I expected 3 players, but I expected Kokanyemi to make it. So, but apparently Kokanyemi is like next man up. So if someone gets hurt, he's playing. But I didn't expect Jarvis because Canada's Canada, and they're
They're
just that
loaded.
good. Yeah, and good for him. He pros because he made it over the likes of like Steven Stamkos. So you know what? Good for Jarvis.
I know. I'm really happy. And I'm telling you, I don't know if you oh, that's right. You were at the game against Colorado, but you might have seen it later. But during I think it was intermission where he was interviewed and he was interviewed about that situation where he was named to the roster and he said he first called his mom and all that. I think that's a special moment right
Sam,
there,
would you
type
call
of
your mom
interview.
first?
I actually would call my
You would,
mom
you
first.
call your
Yes,
mom.
I would. I would.
Don't
So if
tell
my
your
mom's listening to this, I just want you to know I call you first.
dad.
And then at the end I'd be like, I'm your favorite child, right?
I'm
For
guessing
those
you're.
of you
I'm
who don't know,
guessing you're.
I have a sister.
I say, I'm guessing your sister's not in the room with you right now.
No, she's gone along with her fiance for an hour, so that's why I was like, let's go ahead and record, So
Yep.
yeah, so congratulations to again those players for making it. And Sam, we have a few prospects that made the World Junior Cup. We have three: Oscar Voulette and a well-known prospect, and Felix Ungersorum are named to Sweden's roster to the IIHF World Juniors Championship. Voulette is probably a prospect that you guys know. I wasn't that well known about him either until I saw this. But in the SHL, which is a Swedish hockey league, he got 4 goals, 3 assists, 7 points in 25 games. I don't know what you think. I mean, I would say that's probably mediocre stats, but again, each league is different, so you just never know.
Yep.
And Unger Sorum, off to, I would say, probably a bit of a slow start, but the way how Dundon views the
Well,
AHL teams, I kind of take that as a grain of salt.
I'm just with Felix Ungerstorm too. He's playing center there, and that's just a new role for him in general. So it's like, okay, let's see what he does.
Yeah, true. And again, time will tell how he does as playing center, because I think the reason why is because they know they don't have the depth at center in terms of prospects. So I understand the Hurricanes management trying what they're trying to do there.
Yeah.
But he has 1 goal, 4 assists, 5 points in 19 games. Again, Dundon carries more about the development than the winning. So again, I don't really want to say this is the end all be all of Unker Sorum's ability.
No. He's very much so ready to play in the NHL. He's going to be in the NHL. I'm
I think
confident
he
of
will
that.
too.
I'm confident him, Bradley Nadeau, Morrow, Nikishin, they're all going to be NHL players, and they're all going
Well,
to be very
definitely, Nikishkin's a no brainer.
yeah, and they're all going to be very good in the league too. Like I truly believe that.
Yeah, and another player, Sam, you mentioned one of them, made Canada's roster for the World Junior Championship, and that's Bradley Nadeau in 19 games, 5 goals, 7 assists, 12 points. So a little bit better.
Yeah, dude's got a
Not
heck of a shot.
terrible. Yeah, he has a great shot, and I do expect him to make the roster for next season. I think if he doesn't, might be starting to worry about him just a tad. Not much, but just a tad.
We'll see.
Yeah, we will. But that's pretty much it for Hurricanes news and just news in general. But Sam, let's get to that one game against the Islanders. But before we do, let's get to a couple of our sponsors. The 24-25 NHL season still has that new car smell, and the action is heating up at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. It's super easy for first-timers to get started at DraftKings Sportsbook. Try betting on something simple like picking a team to win. And if you are new to DraftKings, listen up. New customers bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ice.
One of the things I like about watching hockey is the physical play we get to see, which is why Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes it easy to see your favorite team, concerts, or shows. One of the upcoming games I am looking forward to is a Canes versus Capitals game in January. And yes, that is my co-host Sam, if you heard him. They have a few super deals that are under $100 in lower level seating. That's why one of my favorite features is the super deal. Remember, you can also get a view from your seat in the app before you apply. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code THPN for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code THPN for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. It's game time, Sam.
I don't want to
And
talk about it. It's that
Sam,
example. It's horrible.
Sam,
It's gonna make me sad.
okay. We've seen worse games. We just had a bad second, but um, the first period I thought was the best period for the Hurricanes, Sam. I really did.
Yeah.
Like they held the Islanders in their zone for like 2 stretches, I believe, in the first period. Like we were pouring it on, and it, again, this has kind of been the theme for the Hurricanes, I think, this season, and the fact that they're getting all these chances, just can't really score to make it to where that period counted. And even though they did score in one with Svechnikov scoring, which is good,
Yep.
kind of need a little bit more than one goal, especially when you're on the road, I would say.
Yeah, but that's. I mean, it was just. And we've said this a lot over. I think the course of the last couple of weeks. Maybe it's they didn't get enough out of that period. They didn't get enough out of that period. And it was another time. It was just another example of we didn't get enough out of that period.
And I think, honestly, I think that a little bit shows just we do lack that, even though we have Netches that's playing at a great level, one of the leading the league right now as we're recording this in points. I mean, you basically have, I would say, 4 players, the core 4. I've always said the core 4 of the Hurricanes are Netches, Aho, Svech, and Jarvis. Even though Netches is doing great, like Aho, we're getting to 6 games right now where he hasn't scored a goal. And he already had a patch like that before he scored, I think, like 3 or 4 goals in 4 games or something like that. Can't have that again. You just can't. So I don't think Aho's having that good of season in terms of scoring goals, and just kind of disappointing because when he's on, he can get 30 to 40, 30 to 35 goals. He just can.
Yep.
And another thing too, I think, is that you kind of, to me, what's missing is you don't have that star player to put with Aho.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think they do, because I think Jarvis and Aho have some chemistry. And this is when I will criticize Rod. Why do you have Jarvis playing with Stahl and Martinuk when we know that the best chemistry that we have seen this season is Jarvis and Aho? I said this in the last episode.
I don't know.
Because wouldn't you agree that they have good chemistry together?
No, they do. And it's bizarre the amount of line juggling we see, because I think I don't think that works. I don't think it's worked recently anyway.
And we saw that in the third period, because the second period, I mean, Svechnikov scores again, and the first goal he scored, Sam, a little bit of puck luck there. He did, but we worked for that puck luck. It wasn't like it was luck that came out of nowhere. And obviously Aho gets the point, so that's good. But again, it's the goal scoring that concerns me with Aho. Gostisbehere gets an assist.
Yeah.
And then you have the Islanders tying it up in the second period. Honestly, I mean, I thought Kochekov actually played good. Yeah, do I think there was one soft goal, which I think was the
second?
Yeah, it was the
2-on-1
Wallstrom goal. Yep.
Whatever the 2-on-1 goal. I didn't like that one, because he was cheating. Kochekov was cheating. He was cheating for the pass.
Yeah, I didn't like that, but I mean, you have Svechnikov scoring again, which was good. That made it 2-1, and then Wallstrom, Sl- Slapikov, I believe, is what it's pronounced. I could be wrong about that. And then there's Horvat that scored, and honestly, I think there needs to be a discussion that's coming up, Sam, and it's because even though we've had goalie issues this season, you look at a lot of these goals recently, they have been defensive breakdowns.
Yeah.
And I'm just starting to get concerned about the defense
Look,
now.
one, I think Burns is just old and slow. I everyone seems to be
Well, it's
loving him
not
this
really
season.
Burns that I'm
No, no, no,
seeing
no, no.
that's getting scored on.
Everyone seems to be loving him this year. I'm not. I'm not. I don't. I think he's old. He's slow. He's not producing where the reason you have him there. And for that reason, I think it's time to, if he's going to play on the defensive side of things, and apparently that's where he's better at, I think you need to swap him and Gostisbehere and put Gostisbehere with Slavin, because I think what you're about to say is the Gostisbehere Walker pair hasn't been as good. We
No, it
know
has
we
not.
know that the Orlov Chatfield line has been good, so I think a good thing to do, because I mean, would be to swap Gostisbehere and Slavin. Gostisbehere's a little bit, or sorry, Gostisbehere and Burns. Gostisbehere's better than Burns offensively, so
Yeah, he
putting him
is.
up with
Oh, yeah.
Slavin, I think makes more sense. And Gostisbehere is a little bit faster than Burns, and then you just put Burns with Walker, and then give them smaller assignments, and maybe that will fix some things up on the blue line. But my concern, honestly, is still goaltending.
Yeah, but again, this is one of those games where I feel like I could see a trend starting to where our defense is concerning as well as the goaltending. It just is.
So
Like you saw those goals. These were all like rushes from the Islanders.
no, they were transition, but I wanted to make one thing. So the Hurricanes aren't afraid to move a goalie, right? We did it with Nedeljkovic, and this was Nedeljkovic's stats his last season, where he was like our basically de facto starter down the end, right? We had from him, he played 23 games, 15-5-3, with a 1.90 goals against and a .932 save percent. And the complaint was the playoffs, right? That was what the reason that we apparently traded him, is we didn't believe the playoffs were good. Well, he was 9-4 and he was 4-5 in the playoffs, so the wins and losses weren't good. But that year in general, I think, was a bad year for us in the playoffs. He had a 2.17 goals against and a .920 save percent, and he had one shutout. Right? Those aren't
Mhm.
bad. Those aren't bad. The team in general wasn't that good that year. Let's take a look at Kochetkov. So his best season with us was last year's, where he played the most games. He had 23, 13, and 4 with a 2.33 and a .911, 4 shutouts. Let's take a look at this year. He's played 16 games, 11-4-0, 2.68, 8.93. You know who has better stats and we moved on from? Nedeljkovic. So if you think that that management, our owner, is going to look at Kochetkov and look that it's pretty consistent, that it's about 1 to 2 bad goals a game, I would say I think that's fair. Where it's like, oh, maybe you need a save, right? If you had gotten your save yesterday, it's not on Kochetkov. We lost because we broke down in the second period. But if your goalie gets you a save, you're in overtime. You get a point. But we didn't get that because we didn't get a save. And then if you looked at the goals saved above average, I'm going to pull that up real quick because I had looked at that for that game as well, because I thought that was an interesting stat. Oh, shoot. If I remember right, I saw goals saved above average. Kochetkov was a -1 and change. And some games you get a great Kochetkov, but I think on average he's letting in 1 or 2, at least 1 bad goal a game on average, right? Some games it's 2, some games it's 0, and I think averaging it out to 1. If that doesn't pick up, the team's not going to. He won't be the number 1 next year. This team moved on from Nedeljkovic. They're not afraid to do it here either. I promise you, they're not. I know everyone loves Kochetkov. I love Kochetkov. But he's entering the last year of his contract next year, I believe, if I am correct. And my memory of that. Just don't, at the end of the day, if they don't think it's going to work, they're going to trade him. And just a reminder, Nedeljkovic had better stats. And we moved on from him. He was a Calder Trophy nominee. We moved on from him. If you don't get more out of Kochetkov, I don't know what you're expecting.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that eventually does need to have a conversation about that if he just doesn't pick up the season. But another thing too, Sam. I mean, we talked about the defense for a little bit. Heading into the third, Rod Blindamore. I'm start calling him that nickname now because he blends all the lines together. And I can't remember the lines.
It was like
the top of my head.
Stahl, Natchez.
Martinook was playing with Aho. I do know that.
It was Jarvis, Aho, and Martinook. Natchez, Stahl, Svech, Drury, Carrier.
Was it? You said Drury, Carrier. Was it
Maybe
Robinson?
No, it was a KK, Carrier, and Robinson.
Either way,
lines were really weird.
Yeah, and again, like Sam, just making that change just for the sake of the Hurricanes maybe doing better. It just hasn't worked recently.
Well, let's go back to
Brandon
what
Moore
Don
keeps
Waddell.
doing it every game when something's not working.
Let's go back to what Don Waddell said when he was general manager. We're not going to make a change for the sake of making a change. Stop making changes for the sake of making a change in a game. Because it doesn't work. It just doesn't. If Jarvis and Aho work, stop being so arrogant. And I think to be a head coach, to some degree, you should be a little arrogant. You have to be a little arrogant to think you can do it. But I think in this case, it's like, it works. Let it go. I mean, maybe we need to do Aho, Jarvis, and Martinook for a little while. I don't like first line Martinook, but I mean, if that's the only way
it's for the sake of Aho, though. It really is. I do think.
Sure. I mean, I'm okay with maybe doing Aho, Jarvis, and Svech. Like, let's go with that. You get your power forward, your scorer, and Jarvis, and then your playmaker and Aho. I'm okay with something like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, another thing too, the only thing I might be concerned about that line is it's very kind of top heavy. And even though you have Natchez playing on the second line, I think I saw a stat that the Drury Robinson Natchez line had 3 goals were scored on them against the Islanders. So I'm like, probably can't have that line together.
I would actually put KK on that line. I would do KK, Roslovic, and Natchez.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think Jerry's been playing good. It's just there's just a huge fall off from Aho being the first center.
Yeah.
There just is. And as much as I might not like KK there, if it's for the sake of chemistry, you do it. Because you need to have chemistry. I don't care how good the structure is, you need to have it.
Look, there's very clearly a need for a center. It's just there. You don't have a number 1, 2, 3, and 4. You have one number 1 and then 3/4 centers. You don't have a number 2. It's a big drop off, like you said, right? Stahl's at best a third line center. KK's at best a third line center. Drury's at best a third line center, right? And I think that's where we're at. And you need a second line center, and that's going to be a problem for sure for this organization. And maybe you need to look at a blockbuster deal. Maybe you need to look at players that you never thought you would consider moving to upgrade, because you gotta trade talent or prospects to get talent or prospects. And if you think that the answer is KK and Drury, or it's KK, Drury, and Unger Sorum, I don't know what you think. I like KK. I really do. I think he's actually had a pretty good season so far, and I would actually continue to play him at number 2 for now. But if it's not addressed this year, then it needs to be addressed next year. You need to go get a number 2 center. Because I think because Jordan Staal is getting older, he's not going to be able to play 3 center. And I think KK would be a high end. I think he's a high end third line center. I think that's his ceiling, his high end third. And I think he'd be a great third scoring line center. I think that's what ideally where I would have him. But if it means trying to go get a number 2 center, go figure it out. Find a number 2 center. But that's what
and Brendan Moore doesn't have faith in KK. He just doesn't. You can tell.
Which is bizarre because I think KK's actually had a really good year. So I don't know what's that problem. I don't know the problem there. I don't get it.
Well, I think regardless if you don't get it or not, I mean, to me, that's just more writing on the wall that he should have been bought out. But I do wonder with Jordan Staal, because he still has, I think, 3 years left on his contract, if at some point he retires before that contract expires. I do wonder.
I think for him, the play would have to fall off. So, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, if you look at all those 3 centers, I probably do trust Staal more than Drury and KK just because he has the experience.
Well, at number 2, I want KK because KK's got the ability to play with those guys.
Yeah, he does. And Staal is a slower player, so.
I just, look, at the end of the day, you need a number 2 center. This game wasn't because you didn't have that. We broke down in the second. That's why you lose. That's why you lost. You lost 4-3. KK makes it interesting there at the end. He gets a goal. Again, good for him. I love seeing him get on the score sheet.
I was thinking maybe. But even then, it's Sorokin. So I was like, we're not too optimistic about this.
Yeah, and that's another thing is you got goalied. He was the better goalie tonight. It was Sorokin. It wasn't Kochetkov. So I think there is some cause for concern. And I'm not out here.
We just don't have the same talent as we did last season. So
no,
my expectation of them being like a third place divisional team / wild card, if they meet that, I'm fine with it.
And I'm not out here either way advocating to trade Kochetkov. That's not what I'm at. I'm saying he's obviously not doing good enough for what this management wants. Because they want consistency, and they didn't see it in Nedeljkovic, and Nedeljkovic had better numbers.
And another thing too. Yeah, go ahead.
No, but if they don't see it in Kochetkov, they'll move on.
Yeah, and another thing too that I noticed in this game, Kochetkov made another stupid play that could have gotten seriously hurt. I don't know if you saw that, Sam. But he went outside of his crease, tried to play a puck, and he got hit, obviously, I think, by Andres Lee.
Yeah.
Thankfully, he wasn't injured, but he can't keep doing that.
And that's why you need another goalie. Because he doesn't seem – he keeps making those plays and put him in a vulnerable position. Once again, we were almost left to the mercy of a Tokarski-Martin rotation, and I haven't even seen Tokarski play yet. By the way, I would play
Sam,
him.
He's not the answer. I'm sure.
No. I know that, but I actually do play him this Tuesday. That's the easiest matchup to give him, just so you can get an idea of if he can do it, just in case, kind of a thing. So I give him this game, but. Again, I'm going to tell you now. One, Freddie's not coming back next year. I'm not convinced he's going to play again this year. But he's definitely not coming back next year. So,
and I do think the Hurricanes can get out of this. I do.
Yeah. Well, I do too.
Every team goes through it.
And this homestand is a chance to do it. Now, if they go 0-4 on this homestand, then I think you got a problem. And that'll be dependent on why you went 0-4 on this homestand. But
yeah, so it starts with San Jose. I'm gonna bring up the schedule here. Starts with San Jose on Tuesday, then Ottawa on Friday, Columbus on a Sunday, and then the Islanders again on the 17th, which is a Tuesday. It, I mean, I would say probably the toughest team, probably the Islanders, considering kind of what happened. I think Ottawa's good too, but Ottawa's just unpredictable.
Yeah.
They're one of those teams that win one and then lose one, win one, lose one.
Like I said, I feel this homestand's a homestand that you can come in and make up ground. I think we should win all 4.
I think, trust me, I agree. I think if you look at our roster on paper, we have the better team amongst all those 4 teams. But if we see 3 out of 4 wins,
Yeah.
which is kind of what
6 out of 8 is bare minimum of what they should do. 8 out of 8 is what they really should do. 6 out of 8 is an acceptable answer. 4 out of 8 and then 2 and 0 are not acceptable. You can't split this homestand 50-50. That's not good enough. Because you've been playing 500 hockey. That's about where we're at. Because I think our last 10 were 4-5-1, and that's not acceptable. So last 10, you're below 500. You're almost at that 500 mark. You need to be above to get yourself out of the hole you just kind of dug yourself in. Again, we're not like in danger of being kicked out of the 3rd spot in the Metro right now, but you want to continue to pad your lead on those teams, especially while New York is struggling, right?
Yes.
So you want to pad your stats. You want to build up a lead. So when you have, slumps like every team does, you're going to be fine. Winnipeg's lost some games. They got shut out by the Panthers. So it's not like it's not like every team's going to win every game.
And we got shut out too. So
yeah. Well, look, we're not going to win every game. I don't expect to win every game. What I look for is,
can you get yourself out of situations? That's the big thing.
Yeah, and then I look at trends, right? Let's take a look. All right, what are the trends that I'm seeing? Well, we have a losing record in the last 10. Oh, that's not a good trend. Aho's not scoring. That's not a good trend. Keep juggling the lines. That's not a good trend. Kochetkov lets in 1 bad goal a game. That's not a good trend. He makes these decisions that puts him in a vulnerable spot. That's not a good trend. So, it's just this lot of trends that aren't looking good right now. But this homestand is a real honest to God opportunity to start to right the ship. And you start with an opponent in the San Jose Sharks. Sam, you said you wanted your 10-goal game. This is the best chance to get you a 10-goal game is against the
My
San
best
Jose
chance was
Sharks.
against Boston, and they only got 8.
Well, you know what? Sharks are worse than the Bruins. So here's your opportunity, Sam. Maybe we can pump 8. Well, 10.
Hopefully. Hopefully. Well, I'm under a time constraint here for this episode, so let's go ahead and end this, Sam.
All right.
We will see you guys on Friday's episode. See ya.